Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guests for the afternoon, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, our journalist. Mr. Ramzy, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramzy, for your time. And getting straight to it, in a report this week by a UN independent investigator called Khoury, he said a starvation campaign began just 2 days after the October 7th attacks, and he said, to quote, never in the world never in post-war history had a population been made to go hungry so quickly and completely as was the case for the 2.3 million Palestinians living in Gaza. How do you see this latest revelation, Mr. Ramzy?
Well, the facts are being established all the time through all of these reports that are coming out from every single area. The problem is that these reports are not actually turning into a solid consequence to Israel. Israel is not paying the price. I'll give you an example, Angie. The whole world is waiting for the International Criminal Court to issue arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant. It hasn't happened yet. Karim Khan, the prosecutor of the court, came out and said very bluntly that the amount of pressure that is being put on everybody not to issue the arrest warrants is huge. And unless the court actually goes ahead and issue the warrants, then it will become extremely clear that this court is not independent. It's a court that has two faces. It's a court that's set up only to deal with third world countries, but it does not touch friends. And therefore the legitimacy of the court and international law are in danger right now. But this is where we are. The whole world knows what's going on in Gaza. Everybody knows that there is a genocide, ethnic cleansing. Everybody knows that people are getting murdered, including the American-Turkish activist who was killed yesterday in the West Bank. That was deliberate. It's very clear. It's an execution. The Americans came out saying they are waiting now for the Israelis to investigate themselves and to come out with a report, and then they will decide what to do.
Yet she was clearly killed at a protest rally, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, she was executed. The protest was ending, the Israeli army was withdrawing, then a soldier decided to kill her and shot another person. And that's an execution. That's not a casualty of war. These people were peacefully protesting. They know her very well because she goes and protests every week. And at the end of the day, she was executed, just like Shireen Abu Akleh was executed before, just like hundreds of journalists have been executed. And so the world knows all of this. If the idea behind investigations is to actually come out with a verdict and act upon these investigations, then the investigations are great and they are very, very badly needed. What these investigations are doing, they're just humiliating the West. Because all of these verdicts are coming out after actual independent investigations, such as the investigations conducted by UN organizations or the International Criminal Court. At the end of the day, for as long as the West continues to protect Israel and allow Israel to commit atrocities, break international law, and there is no price, then all these actions are actually humiliating international law. They are humiliating the West. It's obviously a two-faced system, and it is directly related to special interests and even possibly racism.
Absolutely.
And this is basically what the world is seeing today.
Indeed. Now, Mr. Ramzy, this report by this professor at the University of Oregon School of Law, he was appointed by the Geneva-based UN Human Rights Council as an investigator on this issue, and he's supposed to, he said these allegations or these facts that he's gotten are given to a report, or were given to a report to the UN General Assembly, which was circulated on Thursday. What has happened since now this is proven starvation, systematic starvation of the Palestinians?
The biggest problem is that the UNGA, the General Assembly of the UN, has absolutely no teeth. So there is no question that if there is a vote or action in the UNGA, the vote will win by a tremendous majority. At the UNGA, our problem is with the UN Security Council, because the UN Security Council, certain countries have veto power. On top of them is the United States of America that has vetoed every single attempt to stop the war in Gaza, to stop the atrocities, the genocide, the killing, the mayhem that Israel is creating. Every attempt has been vetoed by the United States of America at the Security Council. And the Security Council is the body inside of the United Nations that can actually take action, such as sanctions, such as it can make Israel pay, but then again the United States is not allowing that. So what we need to do is to see a turnaround at the UN Security Council, not at the UN General Assembly, because the General Assembly is the whole world, and the vast majority of the world and the vast majority of nations are not tolerating this genocide. They're demanding a ceasefire. They're demanding an end to this war. They're even demanding, if tomorrow in the UNGA we were to ask for a resolution that demands that Israel pull out of 1967 territories in order to create the two-state solution, we would win at the UNGA, because the vast majority of the world is very much pro this resolution. And all of the resolutions that have been passed before by the UN have been ignored by Israel, and Israel hasn't paid the price. So the bottleneck is at the Security Council rather than at the UNGA.
Right, Mr. Ramzy, to move on to another important issue, of course, as schools begin, all over the region, schools shut down after the Israeli attacks were launched on October 2023 and have since been packed with displaced people, turned into refugee camps. The rest of the schools have been destroyed, have been dismantled, and have been turned into rubble. We're talking about 625,000 school-aged children already missing out on an entire year of education, and are expected to miss out on this year's education as well. How do you see this? And even though we've seen reports by the spokesperson for UNICEF saying that children are suffering, cognitive, social, and emotional development disorders as a result of course, the war and them not being able to go to school.
It's a human catastrophe. What children in Gaza have seen would require a huge effort in psychotherapy. They saw death. They saw parents, relatives, friends get murdered before their own eyes. They saw hunger for the first time in their lives, 2 or 3 days without food or water. They got sick, but there was no proper health providers on the ground to help them. These people went through 8 months of hell. They went through a genocide, ethnic cleansing. They lost their homes. They were thrown out from one place to another. They are on the move. They became nomads due to Israel's ethnic cleansing processes, and therefore the amount of damage that has been done, that is physical and psychological, is unheard of. We have reached new limits in humanitarian catastrophe. And this is what's going on in Gaza right now. Now, the big question is how, even if this war, when this war stops, and it has to stop immediately.
Yes.
But when it stops, what can be done in order to save all of these people? How are we going to be able for them to live without infrastructure, without schools? Israel has made sure to destroy the schools, the universities, the houses, everything. So we're talking about a huge challenge in order, and this challenge has to be done. The whole world has to act and make sure that this challenge is met. And the psychological issue is very difficult, NG.
Yes.
It's even more difficult than
it's harder, yes, absolutely. Yes.
How do you provide psychotherapy to en masse? How do you do that? How do you try to help all of these children who have been damaged for life? Psychologically, I'm talking about.
Yes.
Therefore, that alone is probably the biggest challenge we're going to face.
Indeed. I'm afraid I'll have to leave it at that. I've run out of time. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, our guest, the journalist. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your insight on today's edition of Arab Affairs. This wraps up today's episode. You're in the company of myself, Angie Meher. Thank you for watching.